This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For July 19th, 2024, it's the best-sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, broadcasting live to tape from coast to coast, easternmost to westernmost, northernmost to southernmost, gate post to hitching post. I'm your local host who can boast the most milquetoast and utmost humility. I'm Chris Deckner. It's time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure, and almost everybody is back for the first time in 2 weeks.
Wait, there's more people here?
Yeah. There's the mysterious sixth member who makes a rare, on occasion appearance.
Yeah,
but
it's got to be like the right full moon for that to happen.
Yes.
So
usually comes out of nowhere, and it's with a text that says, "Are you guys recording today?"
I'm coming in.
Yeah. So anyway, but let's say hello to today's panel of AV SuperFriends who are here today by pushing
allegedly
this highly controversial button. Today I'm joined by a dynamic paradigm consultant from Kansas City, Jamie Reinhardt.
What is that?
What is it not?
You might want to advocate heavy drinking.
Got it. Done.
Also joined by a district ideation administrator from Corvallis, Oregon, Marc Kolowazinski.
Locally, we're going to get this done. I don't know how, but just the people right
just
here.
Your district.
Just my people are going to shoulder the burden.
Also joined by a product usability orchestrator from Greensboro, North Carolina, Larry Darling.
So is my job to make sure the product is usable or teach people how to use an unusable product?
Yes. It absolutely
You are
is.
overqualified for your position, and we need you to talk to HR.
You got upper middle management written all over you, sir.
Oh, I've been striving for that.
And finally joined by our illustrious Vice President for Investor Metrics from Bowling Green, Kentucky, Justin Rexing.
Who's muted?
Who has muted himself and is not talking into it.
You know what? That's
chewing gum.
That's a classic vice president move.
My mic's muted? What? Sorry, I was busy losing $500 in 30 seconds on spy calls. Yeah. So, sorry, my bad.
Perfect.
Just investing.
The metrics are looking like we need more money,
The metrics that I invested in were not sound.
CrowdStrike?
CrowdStrike, I took.
I'm going long CrowdStrike.
$1,000 on calls on that long. That burned.
So, we wanted to mention that
gone.
As we're recording this, there's all sorts of nonsense going on with hosted providers and things.
Hey, ours is working.
Hey,
ours works just fine. So
spared no expense to make this. This is important.
People can't fly, but damn it, we can record.
Mm-hmm. Well, while you're sitting there in your terminal listening,
since you're stuck.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they're doing right now. They're listening to us and not worried about getting home.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not streaming this.
It's Friday. They're not trying to go home.
No, they're trying to get out of there.
This isn't a stream? We're not live?
Don't tell them.
Again, a vice president comment.
Oh. My bad.
If you were middle management, you'd know what we were doing today.
Yes.
Yep.
I was too busy in my spy calls.
Mm-hmm.
So on today's show, we're going to discuss our organizational structure for each of us, as well as our lecture capture deployments. But first... Yeah. And it's not the news.
Definitely not.
It's sort of news-ish.
Maybe to some people it is.
We decided this was more interesting than a lot of the news that's coming out there.
It's going to be news to me.
Boy, you guys are in for a world.
Yeah, so this is Marc's AV-focused summer vacation.
Because that's what I did. I said, let's figure out the best way we could go experience AV. My family was like, yeah, let's do that.
You're a liar.
No, they did not.
And then we settled for Disneyland.
Yes, we did. So we got a van and packed them up with the in-laws and drove down the West Coast to Disneyland. It was great. And I'll start my summer vacation I went downtown to look for a job. No, we went down... took the drive down.
You went to downtown Disney to look for a job? Because I'm pretty sure House of Blues is hiring.
I'm starting off with the first AV experience that I had, and it's more for AV AI. Have any of you had any of the
experience with like
Spotify and its AI engine yet?
I don't know what you mean by that question.
No.
Okay, so clearly no. So those who do probably know what I'm talking about. If those who know, anyway, you have lists and playlists and things like you're doing, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, if you're listening long enough, it'll come out and say, "Hey, Mark, we noticed you're listening to this and this and this. I'm your new AI DJ, and I'm going to spin some of these other tunes based on what you have." And it comes
This
out of
sounds
complete nowhere. Like it as a trial,
Well,
it like popped on. I was like,
on.
"What the hell is going on right now?"
Well, that's what I experienced with Pandora, but they just don't tell me that they're going to throw Britney Spears
but they're
into
not
my
talking
Metallica.
to you. They don't say, "Hey, Justin." Like,
No,
I'm here, and here I
they
am
don't.
driving down I-5, and all of a sudden my name. Hey, I'm like, what? Did somebody call
Wait, does
me?
it actually talk to you like
Yes. It sounds like it's talking to you. It's
What-
not
okay, what I mean-
necessarily talking to you.
that? What I'm saying is, it's not like, as Justin's describing, it's invisible, and all of a sudden you just get a weird song inserted into your playlist.
You get
a voice
DJ
that tells
talks
you
and says,
that.
"Hey,
Good
Mark,
God.
based on the stuff you're listening right now, we've found some other things you may like. I'm going to go ahead and give you some of that." And it's like,
So
whoa.
this is
Your
why
Britney
you.
Spears.
Yeah, that
This
was
is
my-
why you had to buy a new
Listen to that
phone,
shit.
because you threw your phone out the window, right?
That was my first surprise AV experience of the trip, about 3 or 5, 10
Selling
hours
you
in.
concert tickets.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
we
that-
also see that you're in LA, so get these concert
Exactly.
tickets.
You're driving past the venue right now.
Yeah, we
We've
noticed
told your
you're
car
here.
to stop and have locked up your brakes.
So this is unrelated to Disney.
It's
just-
that's just AV experience, AI experience. I figured I'd just throw it out
Okay.
there. No extra charge for you, Justin. Just as a consolation prize.
Okay.
But once we got down to Disney, we did California Adventure and Disney, and I think I'll kind of go through some of the stuff that I experienced with my kids down there on some of the attractions. And the first one in California Adventure, anybody who's been there or not, hopefully I'm not spoiling this for folks. The Web Slinger Spider-Man adventure. Have you seen that? Chris, you would love it. You put goggles on.
Oh,
And you're in
shit.
a
I'm
moving
going now.
car experience, and it's a projection thing, and you're slinging your webs, and actually, I don't want to give it all away, but you're actively involved with this, and it's actually a heavy AV experience through goggles, so you actually have this immersive experience. My daughter absolutely loved this ride because it was the video game aspect, and it was a ride. She hadn't done a whole lot of rides, and this is like what she first jumps into, this ride, so she was extremely stoked on it. And I think it was done really well. At the beginning of it, before you actually go into the ride, there's kind of this immersive experience where they do holograms. Chris, another one of your favorite things, there's a whole hologram experience where they're kind of giving you the story, so you have multiple pieces on that has some other LEDs.
And by
involved.
holograms, you mean Pepper's Ghost.
Exactly, yes. Big Pepper's Ghost setup. For the average person who hasn't seen that looks pretty, like, wow.
Who hasn't seen this
is crazy,
150-year-old
right?
technology?
They do it pretty well. It's done really well. And I think as you're waiting in line and it's hot, it's nice to be in an air-conditioned room and at least see this whole thing and the backstory is going on. So it sets it up for it. So I think they did a really good job with that one. My youngest, middle youngest, I guess, AV experience on the Grizzly ride. This is the big water tube thing. I'm changing rides here. Okay. The Grizzly.
Suddenly the holograms turn into water.
Sorry. Yeah, we're on the water ride.
That really is a good experience.
The AI voice says, "We've noticed you've been
Sorry.
enjoying this ride.
How
Here
about
comes
this
some
one?
water."
The water. So yeah, the next ride was the Grizzly water ride, and this is the big old school inner tube, right? And you're there, and then she's 4. She's not even sure about how any of this stuff's going to work. Down there, and the AV experience for this was in the cave. The volume of the growl from the bear scared the hell out of my daughter, and she's like, "I want off of this thing right now." I'm like, "Well, we're about 10 seconds in. You're in for the whole thing, so get ready." And of course, she's the one who ended up with all the water on her, so her whole experience was terrible because she got scared out of her mind from way too loud grizzly bear growl, and then got dumped on by like a whole wall of water.
By a grizzly?
By a
She got
grizzly,
dumped on
yeah.
by a grizzly too? Yeah. That's a bad experience.
Different kind of dumping, just
Yeah, so good audio, I guess, and that one it was loud, and that's a historic ride, right? It's old enough.
Sure.
One surprising one for me, I was like, this is going to be just terrible, horrible, but the off the stage experience, and if folks don't know what that is, it's kind of you walk in, it's like one of those little theaters they have, like when you're first kind of going into the park. So it's off the stage, and it's all their characters from different shows. It's a dance experience. I'm like, oh, this is going to be dancing with kids. Okay, cool. Walked into that, and this is like a no shit, full on like Vegas style show going on in here. Like massive video wall in the front, flanking video walls, full on mover lights, fog, lasers, all of it. Dance experience, interactive with kids, and I was like, wow. And They actually had like a wireless camera that they bring out, and they're doing interactive. The kids are on the screens, and it's a bunch of mapping and kind of an engine running all that. So that was actually pretty impressive, and it's air conditioned. So if you want to take a load off, go into that.
So
one.
we did that 6 times in a row.
That one. But that was great, and I think just for a solid stage setup and just kind of the overall vibe, they did a really good job, and it's very well choreographed, making really good use of the space and what they did. But clearly, a lot of video engine running back there, and it also has some immersive audio. Believe it or not, there's some spatial audio going on in there in the round. So there's
just like my Teams rooms,
like Teams rooms. Exactly, that's all it was. Exactly. It was just a big theater built on a Teams room.
You mentioned the other day that there was a problem with the Star Wars thing or something.
Yes, we're gonna get there. There. So and that's the next one. You're reading my notes, Chris. The Millennium Falcon.
I'm reading my notes, not your notes.
The Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Again, if you have not been to Disney and seen the whole Star Wars stuff going on there, just being in that in itself is amazing. They did a really good job with setting the stage and building that environment. But in this, it's kind of the immersive simulator ride, right? You're in this whole thing, and it's moving, it's doing its thing. You're in there with 8 of your closest friends or enemies from standing in line, whatever it may be, and it's moving along, and it's interactive. You're shooting and you're gathering things, and it's just a big giant airplane simulator for the most part, but giant large screen. And 2/3 of the way through this experience, it glitched on us, and it dropped and just went like black screen for like 4 or 5 frames, which is just long enough for everybody to go and like panic for a second, because you're like going down. You feel like you're going down this big drop, and all of a sudden everything just hiccups and stops for a second, and the kids were like, what just happened? Then all of a sudden it's back and it's full on adventure again. So it was the weirdest thing to be in the middle of it, and it glitched, and everything just kind of shut off for a second and then come back on. Other than that, it was done pretty well. But buyer beware. If it glitches, it may take some of the enjoyment out on you. But again, big simulator, projection and the like. So did a good job. It looks clean, looks good. The pieces I felt that were like almost surprisingly AV impactful. These are my kind of like, wow, I was pleasantly surprised by those. The parade at the end of the day, the coordination that has gone into the audio in that parade. You have 6 or 7, 8 floats, all amplified audio, singing their song. They're interactive with kids, all the stuff. And it's all going on at the same time. You do not hear any of those other floats. You only hear the float that is in front of you. They do their song and they keep moving around, and the next one comes up and it starts and goes. And the way that it is timed and choreographed and delivered through the PA system in those zones is amazing. Whoever worked on that, kudos to you. Did a great job kind of isolating that sound and kind of keeping it working for everybody. Same regard, the fireworks show. If you've ever seen a Disney fireworks show, amazing. The downtown part. Now we're there for Pixar Fest, so everything was Pixar'd out. The mapping on the downtown area, projection mapping, incredible. The way it was synced with the sound and the fireworks and all that, and it's huge. Like it's the whole park is projection lit and mapped and interactive, all timed up with all of it. So great experience. I think a good way to cap off the Disney adventure, kind of catching that fireworks show with the family is a good way to kind of go and take in some premium AV. But I will say, my favorite AV of all of it was actually sitting on the beach in Monterey Bay, listening and seeing nothing other than the ocean. Complete quietness. Best sights and sounds of the whole trip.
We told you goggles were not cool.
Yeah. So that was my trip with the family. So,
and this was all in VR, right? You took this whole trip without leaving.
Yeah, we paid for
the
it.
house.
Yeah, it was delivered by the Disney app on our Apple TV.
Disney apps.
It was great.
Hey, kids are going to Disneyland. Put these on and sit down.
Put in this DVD and hit play.
Shut up.
No, it was surprisingly good. I was, outside of it being a little hot and a little bit crowded, it was a good experience.
And you said that there was a huge amount of kind of sketchily painted Bose speakers stuck on
there was a ton of
they were
JBL 23s, man.
Yeah.
Which it maybe this year I'm going to induct that into our Hall of Fame for technology. The little Control 23 boxes, rattle canned, stashed everywhere in that
just
park.
pissed Larry off.
No, it's not. I thought they were already there because they are literally every park
Everywhere.
I've ever been
Yes,
to
yeah.
has
for some
those
reason,
speakers.
yes, and like they're everywhere. Like, and I don't know if it's because they're just disposable enough, or like, fuck it, just put another one in, and we'll just go. But yeah, rattle can 23s galore. So
I love the idea that they're rattle can, which means some of them were the wrong color, and they took them out in the parking lot and just
well, you can have them any color you want as long as it's white or black.
white or black. Yes. So they were like, well,
the
these need to
white
be an
paint's
off gray. I'll fix that.
Yeah, so they get in there and just paint them green, purple, whatever Disney theme you want. Unless there's a different SKU. I want this in like Disney red or something like that.
The spray cans only come in certain colors.
Yeah,
That's why you
exactly.
notice them, is because they're just a little off.
They're close. They're close. I guess that's part of the AVP also. So
These are supposed to be fuchsia, not chartreuse. Damn it.
I don't know what
Chuck,
chartreuse
get out there
means.
and repaint those things.
The building.
What's a chartreuse?
Chartreuse is like, I'm going to get this wrong. Chartreuse is like a light greenish blue, right?
So it's a type of
It's on color bars, isn't it?
It's a color, Justin.
It's a color.
Yes,
That's all I needed to know. I'm good.
All right. So yeah, that was
Chris and
that
his
was
big
it.
words.
Yeah, that was we did it. So if you get a chance, you're down there in La La Land, and you want to go do that, which everybody will sign up at some point if they have kids. Do it. I was only ever at the one in Florida for the longest time, so this was a pleasurable new experience down in LA.
I've been to both.
Have you? Oh, there you go.
It's
Never.
been a long time.
I've been to Florida. That's it.
I would say the one in LA
Neither.
is
None.
nice and compact compared to the acres and acres and miles you walk in Florida.
Yes.
I've driven by.
It's the same experience, Jamie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's-
you got
You got
it.
like 90%.
But it was
Look,
way
kids,
cheaper
there
for
it
you,
is.
Jamie. You got the Costco experience, Jamie.
Yeah, I went to Branson, so
Ooh, nice.
They throw rolls at you at that one.
yeah.
Is that where you were this week? You were in Branson?
Yeah,
How was the AV there?
the exact same. Control
Yeah,
23s
same as
everywhere.
the roller coasters, the
As
VR,
is
the-
Dollywood and Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
Control
Yeah.
23s.
Control 23s everywhere. It's all running off of one
Control
rack in LA.
23s
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
And then
Distributed audio.
That's one distributed
Oh, I
system.
saw a lot different things in Dollywood than just Control 23s, Larry. I saw all kinds of weird shit down.
Oh,
in
you
Dollywood.
went to Dollywood after dark.
Yeah, we go after dark. I
gets
go back to my
wild
hotel.
down
And
there.
That's
good.
weird.
I'm sure that's a video somewhere.
Knox
Hold on.
Vegas, baby.
Google that.
Knox Vegas.
Oh boy. Yeah.
All right. Well, tell you what, let's just roll right into it. So the first topic for today, we want to talk about organizational structure.
Do we?
Oh, this
No,
seems
not
really
really.
serious
Really?
coming from Disney.
Yes.
That was a hell of a transition. We're just going to
Yeah, that was.
Dollywood After Dark
All right.
to how's your org structured?
Well, we put 17 minutes into talking about Dollywood. So, and I'm trying to remember how this topic came up. It was
Reddit.
It was
As Reddit. Yeah, there was
it's
there was
always from that damn commercial
somebody had
subreddit.
asked, I'm interested in going into working in higher ed. Could you all explain how your organizations work? And then all of a sudden the floodgates were opened. That's how it started. And
It all comes from Mark reading Reddit on the.
Yeah,
I can't
Mark
read.
reads
I have
I
it right
actually
in
found
me.
this one. I was like, we should talk about this because the
I
thread.
was on vacation, remember? And then
Yeah, it called
Talk
out
from Larry
Justin, and
reading
it was a really weird
that's
article.
right.
Was that the same
Justin,
one?
you were
That's the one
called
that
out
called
in
out
this.
All right,
Justin.
now I have to find the thread so we can
That is
put
right.
the link in there.
That was super weird.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
thought
like-
you all were posting that, and all of a sudden it was
I didn't post
some
it.
mysterious Redditor called out Justin in this. Yours truly.
Which
All right, so now we have to
Surprised
back
all
up
of
and
us.
find that actual link to reference. What was it? How was it
Including me.
actually?
Yeah,
phrased
including
here?
Justin.
I was like, what the hell you mean my name's in Reddit? And why? And what I do?
Yeah,
Apparently
you're
you
going
run
through your
everything.
profile like, oh shit, what did I post?
All right, so the initial post started with, and link will be in the show notes here. Initial post started with it says university jobs. I see a lot of people commenting here to look for university jobs. What type of jobs do they typically have there? What is the typical department
Underpaid,
structure?
undervalued.
Is there a director over it all, an engineer, technicians, etc.? And somewhere along the lines, as there was much chatter on this, apparently there was a post that said, most people have hit the nail on the head for how the AV departments come about. The ideal is to have one AV person per 50 rooms, which is an interesting metric they threw out there because no
how
one
do you
agrees
get
on
there?
that number
Yeah,
anywhere.
I've never seen somebody come forward so fast on that. And just
Like,
be like,
boom,
bang, here it is.
metric.
Yeah.
Splash.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It may be right. Hell, I don't know. I don't know what right means. It just depends.
It says advanced universities. I guess they mean universities with mature teams
And
will have
money.
multiple programmers and engineers along with field techs that grow into those positions with long time intervals.
I mean,
What that means.
if you're lucky.
Then they say WKU has a great program led by our very own Hall of Famer Justin Rexing.
Vice President.
Yes.
Yes, he's the vice president for interactive potato salad.
Paradigm.
What was it today?
Whatever the hell it is.
It was trading metrics and QQQ.
Yes.
President,
They also called
vice president of.
They also called out Joe Way has built a great program at USC and is currently hiring for his new role at UCLA. So it was just interesting they called out those two people by name.
One of you
So-
listening to this wrote this.
Yes,
Somebody.
you are.
Yes.
So let me just pause there. Now we talked about this offline.
We're all just as shocked as you all are.
I'm shocked. Like now, I'll tell you this. I'll put our team up against any AV team out there. We've got.
Yeah, that's an open thret.
Yeah, that's fine. No, we're
In
pretty
AV
confident.
specifically or any topic?
We will come to your campus and do your job for you.
and I'll do your
and
work.
then peace out.
Yeah. So we got a great installer. He's QSYS level 2, BIAMP certified. QSYS actually came in and stole some blocks from his QSYS designs. He knows what he's doing. We got a great programmer, Crestron Master Silver, Gold, Platinum, something. He knows what he's doing.
Some metal.
Our project manager, myself, our engineering group is pretty savvy on deploying AV systems and that all of that great stuff. Now, the caveat to all this is you can have a great team, but if there's no money to do anything from departments, then
it's just on paper. Like, this team is gonna be good. Yeah, this is gonna be good. Trust me.
So, it's kind of like rolling. It's like
Fantasy
putting a
football.
all-star
That
basketball
sounds
team
like
out there.
yeah, on paper, I'm gonna win this whole
And
the
then
whole league.
rolling out a beach ball and saying, "Go have fun." You're like, "What the hell am I supposed to do with this beach ball?" It's like, I don't know.
Just
go play
aren't you
games
supposed to do with that
on the
beach ball?
basketball court? It's like this doesn't make any sense. So that's what we deal with a lot. It ends up being a lot of subpar AV that really needs to be a little bit better.
You should have just took the
now
material
we do some advanced systems. We do some crazy stuff on campus. I talk more about the oddities and the weirdness that we have.
Crazy stuff.
And
Yeah,
the crazy
this
stuff
crazy
that we got, just for more entertainment value. But I feel like what we do is probably middle ground and very much like most universities out there
I'm still confused.
that
by
have internal teams. Now,
divisible
Well,
restrooms.
let's you rattled off a couple of those people there, right? So
Now, I will
what's the
say-
structure look like? How do you think you're actually structured? Give us a kind of an overview of how WKU and its AV department is actually kind of built up. Are you centralized, decentralized? Talk about that.
So real quick, I'll try real quick. IT is centralized.
I'll put a timer up if you want.
Yeah, we probably need to put a timer up. IT is centralized on campus, but money is not. So that's the issue there. And, it's a big effing issue. Nonetheless, we are in central IT. We are commingling with the network and security people and network, security cameras, access control, all that great stuff. We have our manager, AV manager, and then we have our support team and engineering team. Our support team has a manager, and they have some student workers and some workers that deal with all the tickets and everything. And then our engineering team,
2 minutes.
it's myself, our programmer, installer, project manager, and second installer, Eric. So it's 5 of us. Is that right? If I can count on my hand like I am.
I don't know. Reddit seems to
Yeah,
believe you.
that's
It's
fine.
put together, man,
You're
so-
asking me. I don't
Yeah.
know.
The engineering side is flat. So actually, I don't know where this Reddit post came from. I actually don't manage the AV department.
No, but you
on
lead them.
campus.
You lead
it.
them.
You can lead from
You can
anywhere.
lead 360 degrees. Forward,
Yeah.
backward, sideways, up,
Well,
down.
we try.
Sideways
And so
Always twirling.
yeah, we do a lot of twirling and chasing our ass. That's for sure. So the engineering side is flat. So we definitely have a lot of debating, and I wouldn't say arguing, but it's sharing of
Debating?
ideas and incorporating
Masterly.
other people's ideas.
Yeah, they're masters at it.
Yeah, sure. Something like that.
Okay.
And so it makes it really it's good in a lot of ways. Like we're tackling a press box right now. We're redesigning the entire football stadium.
Whole team
audio,
out there just ready, go get it.
And it's the AV team doing this stuff. Now, here's the caveat to this. Well, how do you guys do all that work? Well, we don't. We have a cabling crew. Okay? So here's the trick. We got tricks up our sleeve. The cabling crew pulls cable.
I take the orders to the engineers. I have people skills.
The orders. So they do our cabling work. So that expands our resources a little bit, right? When we have a very large project and we have a lot of things to install, and I think I've talked about this before on the show quite a bit, is our labor RFP. So we hire labor from integrators and they work alongside us, and we do the knowledge labor while they do the grunt work, if you will. Hopefully they're
grunt work
of like cutting speakers and terminating speakers.
Those are honest terminating speakers.
So
that's good.
I all of a sudden feel a lot insulted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
same.
do?
Yeah.
Why? How did I insult you?
I got you. So how big, like, just round number, how many people in your team, like your honest to goodness, people who have to go out and make team? AV stuff work? How many people?
Like, so how many people are deployed out to complete an AV system, or how many are on the AV team? That's two different questions for our
campus. A room blew up tomorrow, boom,
and we had to rebuild it.
You had to rebuild it before the end of the next day. Who all's getting involved?
All stakeholders involved with IT.
Okay.
That would be myself, the AV installer, AV programmer, network engineers, the cabling crew, and the AV support team. So that's probably 20, 25 people.
Wow. Okay. That's
something like that. Now,
yeah,
the whole department, right?
You're out there leading them, right?
Yeah, I'm not. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah,
we have to include the IT project manager, because if it's just an AV,
what?
We have two project managers.
You got to fix a room that blew up. This is not a project.
Oh, that's definitely 100%.
It's a project now, Larry.
That is 100% a project. That is not a break fix.
Justin, tell me about this ramp model.
No. Just look it up.
Wait, hold on. Pause. When you said blew up, I literally meant
boom, gone.
You have to
rebuild
it. Gone.
You got to fix it.
It needs to be up and running by tomorrow
Larry,
morning.
it's gone. You have to build a new room.
You got to build a new one. Yes.
You can fix it by replacing it.
No, you can't use that room anymore, Larry.
You have to build a new room because it blew up.
Okay.
What are you guys missing?
No, I'm with you.
Mark. WKU has hundreds of empty buildings. Can't use it anymore.
This is Mark's rules. He said, blow up the room. I blew up the
entire
room.
buildings are just
what we're doing.
It's gone.
Nope. I took that literal.
Okay.
It takes more than 20 people to
How many years
room?
do you guys just move the campus every 6 feet or something? I mean, what's the plan here? So.
Well, that's naturally happened, like plate tectonics and stuff. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
So you're at 25 people or so. We're making things happen.
That's for all the departments
Juking and
jiving
and making things go. You're probably not using every single one of those people daily, because you're not having a cable plant team doing daily things.
No.
You're not having a project manager doing daily things. But anyway, at large, or that's anything. Kind of like where you guys. I get you, Larry.
It's a snapshot. It's
what do you kind of how are you different from
Larry?
Justin's?
has to run.
I'm
so
about to sneak
30-second version.
Just give me head count. How many people you got?
Your kid can wait.
No, we can't.
Yeah, it's gonna have to wait.
Including me, 6 full-time staff handle everything: programming, installation, everything else. I also have a team of about 10 students. We support 280 covered classroom spaces, so I think that 50-to-1 number might work if we include all AV across campus and all covered and non-covered, but our covered spaces, which is what we're directly responsible for with the SLA, we don't meet that metric. But yeah, we've got, right now I would say we have 2 guys who are really good at installation, and that's their primary. I've got a programmer, I've got another design engineer, and I've got a student manager who also helps with installation, and she helps with a lot of the asset management and that kind of thing as well. But yeah, nowhere near as big of a team as Justin, apparently.
No, that's about the same size of team.
But we could replace a blown up classroom without opening a project. We could roll that out in a day and get that back up and going.
That's illegal.
No, you cannot. I bet you $1 million you cannot build a room in a day. You got a lot of drywall and paint to do and power.
I knew we were going to get stuck on the nuance of this whole thing.
I have never had one of my system take a room down.
I'm going back to Marc's rules. He set the guidelines. He said blow up.
So
we got to blow
fair
up.
enough. Okay, so you're close to Larry. I appreciate that.
Very similar.
My organization, IT, centralized, obviously, very similar. That's probably a theme you'll see everywhere. Where you go at this point, maybe it's not. I don't know, but I think the trend is. Let me say the trend. I believe the trend is.
I do want to come back to that about the AV as part of IT.
So I'm going to say academic technology, the group in which my technical services group is part of, is a centralized service provider for campus. The classroom group works adjacent to technical services. Combined, I think we have about 15 or so full-time, including myself and the other manager. I'm not going to include the media services event group in this headcount and the learning platform group, but primarily people who are going to be doing the AV stuff. Along with those 15 full-timers, we do have a group of students. I'd say in any term, it may fluctuate from 20 to 30 or somewhere in there, with, I would say, a chunk of those, probably 5 being very, very good at what they're doing and have trained up to the level to assist. So they're out helping us deploy, build, all that stuff. We do farm out structured cable when we can.
Boo.
You want to pull it yourself? That's fine. I'll farm it out to internal. We do have an internal team at OSU that does do that. If they feel like they can
farm it out.
Yeah.
That's
so I'm not doing it. Our group is not doing it. Therefore, it's being farmed out to some other group that's doing it.
We're saying... Me and you said the same thing, but we're saying it differently. So we gotta watch terminology when we're describing things.
So if I have a room that's been blown up on campus and I need to get cable put back in there, I can say
internal cable crew.
We have a cable plant that is responsible for doing it. They can assess it and say yes, they have the capacity, or no, we're going to use a industry partner to come in and do that work for us. So it's kind of at their discretion on how they want to expend their resources.
By the way, on that, do they? I don't know. I'm getting in the weeds here.
Get in the weeds. Let's go.
Is there chargebacks on that, and does that number change if they do it internally or if they farm that one out? There
can be some chargeback. It's usually like materials and such, but they're trying to keep people busy. They're already essentially employed, but I mean, like
if you're going to have internal OSU staffing do that, is it one rate? But if they have to hey, we're too busy, but we can get this done if we have such and such come in and do it, but it's going to cost you an extra 15 or 20%.
It's way cheaper internal than it is outside.
Okay,
yeah.
So
I was just
so going back to your question, Chris. I'm going to address that real quick. So something that we've dealt with, we have to charge labor for our cable pulls and some installation. It's really weird. I'm not going to get into that on why we charge for certain things. I charge
labor for a lot of stuff. It funds positions. That's how it works.
Well, that's going to be, I'm talking about that in a moment.
We don't want to charge, but we have to because whatever, right? Because your position's not funded, so you have to charge, right? That's
correct. The more I charge, the more people on my team. It's just great. 700 people on my team.
So you are cost recovery across the board?
No.
You're not.
Some positions are.
Just something. Okay. Yeah. Most of our staff are tied to central funding. We are not cost recovery as a model. There are elements within academic technology that are, but the primary classroom group is not necessarily chargeback funded. So they are centrally funded as core utility for campus.
I like the idea of the LMS team being cost recovery I'm not going to help you until you.
No, they're central as well.
I know.
So it's just the event. The event side typically is tied to more cost recovery.
All right, Justin, go.
Going back to Chris's comment, we found that we had to at least put a similar rate of installation on our internal team when we estimate a project, because if our, for instance, internal team is in the hospital, or if they win the lottery and quit.
All of them? Is this from the room
we
blowing
have one
up?
or two. It's high risk. We have one or two people, right? That's
a high risk.
You lose one person out of our department, you lose the whole skill set. Anyways, where was I going with that?
I don't know.
You got me off track, man.
Charging,
so we have to
charge back.
We have to charge the same rate as an external would. So
you're not supposed to be competitive.
Correct. So that way, if something does happen, it won't change our price and we don't lose money. Now we bill back for less or actuals for our labor. right? Because we estimate high, and then
Yeah,
bill
you
back
give
for
them
actuals.
you give them a not to exceed
Sure.
number, and then you charge the okay. Yeah,
And then that way, if we do have to pull an integrator in to do some installation, the client won't even know a difference.
Right.
It's
Looks the same
cost.
on their paper.
Looks the same. We just bill a little bit more, but it doesn't exceed
doesn't exceed the
the
estimate.
higher
Yeah.
estimate that we gave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we all probably have like the positions of like, you have a programmer, right? That person does what we would say programming is in the AV context, not to be confused with like your core banner system programmer thing. They
don't
could
know.
theoretically do it, but
Honestly,
Are
if
they
you look
doing
at
that
what
type
they're
of work?
doing
Do
in
you
the
have people doing
tools, it's very similar. They're in a command line writing scripts, which is damn near the same
all
thing.
right. So you could have different opportunities for folks that are doing programming, like legitimate's not the right word. What we
Legitimate
would
programming.
recognize
I'll say-
as programming, computer science programming.
There's multiple people doing programming now, not just programmers. It's kind of weird.
You don't program DSPs, just so you know.
You
configure
kind of
us?
are,
I knew.
I agree with you,
I'm
Mark.
only saying it. I'm only saying it to cause a problem. So
but one manufacturer, we are programming DSPs.
it's not QSC.
Yeah, it is.
I program all my Crestron DSPs.
Oh, dude. I don't even know how you do that.
So,
Well, step one is I get
they
a
don't
brick and I
either,
smack
so-
myself in the forehead.
so then you have
Do they
the.
still make DSPs? Are they still making those things?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
they do.
They're such a
haven't
successful
shopped for
line
one
to
in
shut
not,
it
not
down.
in the way that
I
you
don't
probably
know.
recognize them, but they're different. So then you have like the equipment system specialist groups, right? They're out there. They're the ones that are
The technicians,
the technicians that
installers,
are
the
like
integrators.
really moving the product into space and getting endpoints configured and doing all that stuff. Then we do have some IT specialists that are help managing VLANs, networks, things like that, and configurations. On that side, they're over.
Question.
Yes, go ahead.
I think
Same.
that's where
Why
you're
are those
different.
two distinct things? Why are those two distinct things? Why can't your integrator, technician, equipment system specialists also be doing networking, IT, computer
They are.
deployment?
They
It's
are.
ownership problems.
They are doing it. However, at the end of the day,
That's with
when we start talking about the way that our DHCP reservations and all that stuff, it is nice to have one or two people managing all that stuff, so you don't have the Wild West of people in there messing with things, because naming convention and security are all very important. And so having
It's different every
a
time.
real common or real steadfast kind of rules of how we're going to do that, it does help.
I said that deliberately. I know the
Oh, yeah,
people in
yeah.
these positions intimately anyway, but
I
what
think
I was
what
I was getting at is that's a historical artifact. This person's doing computer stuff, that's IT. These people are installing speakers, that's AV. But now the two worlds have merged together enough that why do we have distinct roles for that? So
Right, and I think if you looked at the person that I had identified as doing most of that back-end DHCP reservation, VLAN configuration, switch configuration, they're coming out of that fleet computer management world. They were more naturally aligned with a lot of this stuff, where a lot of our AV technicians came in as honest-to-goodness AV and have amassed skill sets that are more closely aligned with IT now over the last year, so they look a lot similar. But it's still, I don't want to have everybody responsible for everything all the time, because then nobody's responsible for anything ever. And so that's kind of, it's nice to have subject matter experts, and so that we can know, hey, if I need help with this, where does it make sense when we're troubleshooting or a ticket comes in? Who should own those things? We do share a lot of broad capability, but it's nice to have some specialization. Or you can tell me I'm wrong. I'm okay with that too.
You're not completely wrong.
And so, and we are managing.
you're not as wrong as Justin is.
Yeah,
Say that.
well,
Yeah.
it takes a lot to
exactly.
get that wrong, and I'm trying. One day I'll be as wrong as
Justin's
you,
leading
Justin.
the way and being wrong.
One
We're-
of these days,
wait.
I'm going to be right.
Wait, he has been recognized
Exactly.
to have things in the right order. So
No, I am not claiming that at all. And so,
Hall of Famer.
Hall of Famer.
recognized.
So
and Reddit famous.
now, yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about that.
roughly 500 spaces, teaching and learning event, yada, 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 all across campus. Half of that may be departmental, half of it may be central. The numbers may fudge one way or the other. We try not to get into billing people for every little nut and bolt and an hour we spend on things. We try to be a common core service available to all, so that we don't have random pillars of nonsense springing up across campus. So that's the fight we fight.
That happens anyway.
Yeah, it does. Exactly. Everybody has to be on the lookout all the time.
How many similar departments are at Oregon State?
Like IT departments or like AV departments?
Well, yes. Where so we see this a lot, right? That you have the central, and then you have all the others. How many of
And you-
the
and you have the
others
imposters.
do you have?
I don't think there's anybody building AV.
Yeah.
There's event groups that manage some of their own AV stuff, but they're not really deploying rooms and configurations that way.
And how many of those event groups call you the minute they have a problem?
Every one of them.
Yeah, okay.
No, there's probably 3 or 4 embedded groups, and this kind of like your student focus group, your athletic focus group, and some of the other ancillary event service providers on campus.
And so we assume that Justin has none, or are there little silos of AV installers that?
Oh, we have so many different departments on campus that do AV. They're called
Really?
Yeah, they're all called faculty and staff.
Oh.
No.
So what happens is
Best Buy.
Jamie means officially.
No, not
like their
officially.
title and their position.
Like they have a service offering that you do also.
Yes.
So
I get what you're saying there. They don't count.
Like
our
there's not web
facilities
page.
group sort of does. They sort of don't. They manage the audio for events, but they also do like everything else low voltage that doesn't require IT, like all the weird Johnson controls and all the weird building automation systems and all that crap. Huh?
They do like the retro encabulator stuff.
I have no idea.
I'm going to migrate my entire ecosystem to Johnson controls.
Oh God. Well, good luck with that. But nonetheless, they sometimes have, like once or twice in the past 15 years, put in an AV system, but we mostly stay in our lanes.
How was that
for the most part? I mean, it was fine.
How many
it was just
buttons
the
on the
department
remote?
that asked them to install 2 speakers and two speakers on a microphone. That's close
2
to a
turntables
song.
and a microphone.
Yeah. So it's not bad here. It's the biggest issue is departments going
First
outside.
rule of holes, Justin, stop digging.
I'm digging out of a hole. The biggest
up,
problem that we
stupid.
have is departments going outside the university for solutions.
Sure.
They do that all the time.
What makes them go outside?
They don't know what IT does because IT has a bad job of marketing its services. So a lot of departments, like here's a great example. This happened like 3 weeks ago.
Tell it.
We have an
down.
ancillary department that's it's kind of like it's a medical facility, but it's not medical. It's more of like
It's usually always medical or business. Pick one. It's one of those two.
Speech therapy and those kind of things. It's a nonprofit, but it
makes money.
Stuff that IT installed because Western owns the building. So it's one of those gray areas. We put all the stuff in originally. We support it all. We haven't heard from them in like 6 years. They just kind of fall off the face of the earth.
Building blew up.
Turn the telephone service off.
No, check this out.
Ramp model.
My business,
don't have
Rexon
email.
Consulting Group, got a message from the chamber from them asking for
Chamber
my
of Commerce?
help.
Who is
Yes,
this? No.
the Chamber of Commerce. And I was like, I had to bring that to my boss, and I'm like, hey, this WKU staff member is asking my business for help. We're gonna have to redirect this. Like, people don't know IT even exists here. It's like, yeah, we have to.
Oh, so this was like an inquiry via the Chamber of Commerce to Rexing Corps about a classroom or a campus facility.
Correct. And I had to. So I think a lot of our problem comes from the fact of we've had a lot of turnover in the past 2-3 years from different managers and different department heads and things like that. IT's bad at marketing what its services are from top to bottom, like everything, right? It's hard to know what everybody does all the time. I think we even talked about it here. And so people are just reaching out for help no matter where it is. And they bypass IT a lot.
But it's not because of like, oh, we don't want IT because they're too expensive or anything like that. They just don't know.
It's just the lack of understanding and knowledge. Some of it's, their stuff's too expensive. We're just going to do it ourselves. That's usually where that fork in the road splits. Like, we're just going to do it internally. Like, our own faculty, our own staff are going to install this projector and run extension cords in the drop ceiling because F it, why not, right?
Because that's cool.
Because that's cool. But it starts with a department not knowing where to go, and they reach outside, and those outside people are just doing what they're asked, and they come in and install it, and
I was just curious because I don't think anybody in our group has the multiple like brethren services on their university, but we do know large, giant institutions where each individual college of biz, college of farm, college, whatever it is, has their own group of the same people.
Yeah, fully siloed. Here it is, their team. They go out and do just the classrooms and event spaces for just that department.
Yeah,
and I think
and
that
by
is
the
a
way,
model that I see a lot of.
Yeah. And I think that we know a lot of, again, our peers that even if they do central AV, there still may be, for instance, we have one, our medical program has their own person who it usually comes back to me in the future anyway, but we know of a few folks maybe in the southern, California area where they talk like they have the whole campus under their wing, but they don't. And I was just curious, I think that makes a big difference too when you're going to look for a job. Are you are you looking within the College of Business or the College of Medicine, or are you looking within the university-wide central? Well, Missouri's broken up too. I mean, the actual
a lot of schools are siloed like that.
Yeah. So it's real. I mean, I get it. Everybody has that struggle, but I'm curious that
I don't. No struggle.
Well, that's fine. The kind of trend where I see people distinguishing like this is AV work. It is always referred to as the AV work, and it's not IT work. And I think you mentioned when you're looking for jobs, and I think in looking at a lot of the posts I've seen, I see a lot of the threads and look at that. And I'm always curious when I see jobs that are posted with a lot of vernacular that's really, this is AV. And you see a lot of like the historic AV terminology in there.
Closed circuit television.
Yeah, and then they claim to be a part of like this larger IT organization. And I'm always like curious as to how does that come to be, because I think we're doing the most we can to remove some of that AV vernacular out of like job descriptions and make them more IT focused. And I think it's telling of the leadership of the organization. If your leadership recognizes, no, AV is AV, that is not IT, like be careful, like understand that when you're looking at positions of wherever they may be, that something as subtle as how that position title and that PD is written can give you some insight to how the leadership of that organization actually views the work being done.
And if they're using boilerplate that's clearly from 20 years ago, that means it's been that long probably since they actually reviewed those positions.
Yeah, and because I think anymore, we would all agree that the work that's being done in what we may call AV industry is more IT-centric and more reliant upon heavy IT and IP and network skills than we've ever seen before.
Is it? Oh.
Probably. Or not. I don't know. I would have to default to Justin because he's running the team.
I'm just pulling SDI and XLR cables everywhere. It's fantastic.
I would love that. If I could change jobs and just deal with XLR cables and one college on one building.
Yeah, I have one building and I do nothing but XLR cables.
It's all big old broadcast panels with XLR inputs and SDI connectors.
Like all I have to do is like unplug the
giant mixing boards
to another. I can just sit in a closet like that.
You're manually patching. Hold on.
How's that look?
The only problem is they put the two different patch panels, so you got to figure out which plug is which.
Yeah,
you got all your notes on the top with your channel strips identifying which ones you can hot patch into.
In the lab with my new Blackmagic push button switcher that I'm going to buy 12 of that you guys didn't like last show.
I didn't say we didn't like it. We couldn't decide.
I'm
Some
buying
days I wish I just worked for
the use that you have for them building is perfect.
Y'all don't have those feelings? I know Chris doesn't. Chris doesn't like that. Just work for one college in one building, doing you yourself doing all that. Man. No,
we have a little microcosm of that. I have a little microcosm of that now. As I have our pharmacy program it's a single building, and it has 4 staff.
Is this the ice house?
Yes, but we have staff dedicated to mostly white glove service of classrooms and such. And when I took over the on paper organizational leadership of the department, that was one of the things that they came up with during some of those early meetings. Was that we are so tired of just being the "can you push that button for me, please" people, and they were begging to have more responsibilities as far as what the typical AV department would do. Now, granted, I also went in there with the whole thing of going, no, you are going to be doing some installations and some of this because you never have before, and we need to find a middle ground. But the feedback I got was I thought I'd have some pushback of, we don't want to actually get out a ladder. That's for you to do. Right. And instead it was like, then buy me a ladder. I'll climb up there. Just show me what to do. And so I found it very interesting that yes, they were in AV. Yes, they wanted to understand it. They didn't feel like they were actually a part of it because most of their time was spent, can you flip to the dock cam, please? Will you log in here, please?
Right,
which
all application support stuff. Yeah. But colleges in general, I don't know of a college or university that has a 4-year program in AV that I've seen yet. And so there's not a lot of like students coming out with bachelor's degrees that have AV experience. Right?
Then they realize there's not a job anymore.
It's called audio engineering, and then they backtrack.
Yeah, but installation stuff, like the stuff we recognize, right. CTS train, all that kind of stuff. You don't see that, and that understand that an IT organization for a university is going to look at like, oh, what skills are we going to get with bachelors that are coming out of like computer science, things like that. And one of those skills is not AV and room design. It's just not. It's not going to be there. So it's naturally going to fall to the wayside of what leaderships recognize IT folks having as training.
It's really a struggle because there's not a trade either. And
it's a best of a lot of different things.
So what we find is that those people that went into college for something else, or they went
IT,
into,
in my case,
or they go into the broadcast theater, sound reinforcement, whatever program, and decide that life on the road sucks, or you don't get paid enough in broadcast, and come back to this. But there's not a trade school to learn all this stuff, and there's not, to Mark's point, there's not really a track through school. And we do networking. So are you a networker? Are you a PM? Are you a business? Are you what are you? Because we kind of, the AV industry as a whole, even as integrators, it's everything. It's not a flat service. It's kind of a different thing.
There's a lot of subject matter experts that are very, very good in the very narrow thing that they're doing. And the industry that we are in, we need all of them to be very good at all their subject matter expertise. And so that's what makes it so fun. And I think, Chris, to your point, like if I was just in one building only doing one thing, I would get very bored because I wouldn't have all those other opportunities and all those other riddles to solve day in and day out. And so I don't know, like I can see some of those folks and do work with some folks that are embedded that way. And sometimes it's like, well, that would be lovely to only have one or two little things, but I do enjoy the larger problems.
Yeah. You just have different experiences. Like our experience is the exact opposite. Like if I and this is just my opinion, I feel like if I was trying to help facilities set up a sound system for an event, they look at me like I had 3 eyes. Like, what are you doing in our territory? Get out of here. Like, it's very much siloed. Like Rant Model.
I get that. And yet when they're like, how do we get this projector to work? Who are they calling?
But that's, you don't think any of that has to do with them just recognizing that you are core services and a subject matter expert?
So I think
they recognize, yes, I think they do recognize that, yes. Yeah. But I think they also realize like, oh, good, I can farm this out to somebody else now.
See, we are there to help them. We are the backstop because at the end of the day, it all has to work. We are the ones, the final, which is why they then call buck me. Stops here. The AV buck stops right here. And I think that's telling of the organizational structure and this whole tit for tat billing for time stuff. Like we're trying to flatten that and get away from that, so we don't create that conflict of like time where we're all trying to just get it all done. I understand.
No one billed for anything labor wise, and I think it would solve a shit ton of problems.
Yeah. Sure.
Of just like, oh yeah, let's just help each other out, and
that's at the very top.
I know.
Peak of your leadership is that they have to all come to the conclusion that like anything that happens on this campus or in the name of this campus is
getting a salary
related to the brand of that campus. It cannot fail anywhere. It has a negative impact. So therefore, put the resources in place to make sure that whatever's going on is
from
done
a leadership
correctly.
perspective, from the leadership perspective, that is the approach that my CIO would like. Because he even has used the phrase, I don't want to be facilities, and the facilities group is notorious for charging for every little thing. I mean, if you need if there's water coming from the ceiling, they're going to come fix it. Yeah. But if you want to, I want to, put shelves over here or whatever, they're going to get some big $4,000 because we got to do sheetrock and we got to paint, we got to do all this stuff. And so from an IT perspective, we also don't want to be in that business. But what we find is we kind of have to, because at least for now, that is the existing financial model at the institution for some services.
Right.
So there's like the identified core services, and then beyond that, we're going to have to charge for it. So like I said, in my case, some of my staff are funded through that core funding, and some are cost recovery. So it's a weird hybrid model. The good news is for me, the more of these projects that I do, you can see them all on the whiteboard behind me. The more of these projects I do, the more get charged for, the more comes back to my department as revenue, the more people on my team, the more projects we can then do, and it's kind of self-fulfilling. So
God, I feel like that would be questioned so bad here if we took that approach where we're going to raise money so we can bring in more staff and all like that. They would be like, why? What are you not getting done that you think you need more staff to be able to do? Like it would be a resource question.
We're not doing.
Yeah.
Like I wish we could do more of the icing stuff, like documentation and as-built, the whole 9 yards.
There's always opportunity to do more of that.
There's always you could do more, but
are you getting things done that you need to get done?
Not really. You need more people.
I think there is.
Take it up with Reddit. They seem to believe that you are.
Well,
there is a plateau.
All fake news, I guess.
There is a plateau because I know I could use. We have positions, but they're non-funded at this moment, right? Yeah. And so there are things that I really need to be keeping up with that I can't. And to Chris's point, we're a mixed bag too. Most of it central doesn't charge nobody, but then we have a few that there are some buyback options. But some of those projects and things, it's like, look, if I had one or two more people, well, how do you get two more people? Well, you have to prove it. So if you're charging a project, a new construction project or some of these other things and saying they're eating up so much of my time, see how much I have to charge them, that I need an extra person to deal with that because they're never going to hire their own. There is a plateau though where
that wouldn't be our language approach. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah. I have to spin it a different way. I can't say, well, I charge more so I can get people. It's more like, look how much they're using of my people that are centrally funded.
It's capacity.
They're taking people away from their identified jobs.
There. And once you form that argument, whichever works for you, wherever you're at. But I kind of get where Chris is headed with that because I am one or two away from having like that fine running machine. Yeah. And right now we're a running machine. But it is not well tuned.
But I think everybody has that. Like I think we all, in where we are in our respective positions, always want to do better, right? We always feel like, I wish I would have done
just trying to
better.
Be average.
I wish I could do this and this. And like, what's that, Justin?
I feel like I do a shitty job every day.
So do
I come out here and I'm like,
I know I do a shitty job every day.
What the hell were you doing, Justin? You were a dumbass today. You did a bunch of shit work. And
I feel bad when I look at I'll get, design packages and be like, God, I wish I had the time to do that level of detail on a design package and a document and a one line on that. But the reality is like the term mechanical sympathy. Like I know what the team's going to need to be successful to be able to get what we need to get done. And that we're not going to overspend time on making sure every little line is perfectly perpendicular and everything looks great. We have the line up. We're not going to do all that.
The software does it automatically.
No, but exactly. To me, it's like, yes, we have documents. We move forward and we're doing things. And like, we know where we can color outside the lines and get efficiency because we're going to work well as a group. Would I love to have somebody whose sole job is to just crank out documentation? Yeah, but then I'd feel guilty that that's the only thing that person's doing. Like it doesn't, like, I don't know. Like there's
some people like that guy right there.
Sure.
That's like 50% of my job
and that's
like
okay.
Content creation.
God damn, it's tough to do. It's in reverse.
Like this press box, the amount of content that I'm creating, it's starting to get boring and I'm overwhelmed.
But at the same time, if you think about it this way,
how are you bored and overwhelmed at the same time? It's ridiculous.
To Jamie's point about that, Justin, as part of your salary, you are doing that design package for that project. That would one that ordinarily would be farmed out at a 6-figure fee. So technically, you're saving the university a shitload of money.
I am, and I feel good about it. But I feel like, well, I'll save that opinion at the end of the job.
All right,
we'll see what happens.
Well, we didn't even get.
Yeah, go ahead.
We didn't even get to org structure.
No,
we did a little bit. We touched on it.
We talked about team structure. I want to talk org structure.
We have another hour and a half. Let's go. Let's get in.
University-wide org, or
I do
division-wide.
Like
yes.
The base of the whole question from Reddit was, what is it's like a lot of us, especially at the mid market and higher universities, it's a full integration firm.
Yep.
It's a full integration firm. You may have to hunt and search,
but I don't think it's
where
as
you can
specialized,
apply,
though. I think you have more broad people that are doing lots of different things. Like there's some integration firms I see that have people that just I just do diagrams all day long. I just do DSP all day long. I just do programming. We're asking people to do a little more than that in their day-to-day operations. If I had the luxury of having all this individual people, great, but I don't think I'll ever be funded that way.
I think part of the reason, because we all recognize that we don't pay as much either, but it is that diversity in what our job entails. Because we would, like myself, I would personally hate just drawing all day long or just programming all day long or just administrating all day long. To be able to do a lot of it, a bunch of this stuff, it's perfect. So again, we all started this discussion with that Reddit post and then how we were all set up. And I think that a lot of places, a lot of people that are out there in the industry is like, why would I go to universities? Well, because actually you probably learn a lot more in 5 years at the university, and it's the same work.
Jamie, you're 100% right, because you're going to touch more things outside of your experience, and you're going to gravitate to those a little quicker too.
Yeah,
so working for a university, you don't make as much money, but you're also not doing just classrooms all the time. You're doing oddity things.
Oh, there's all kinds of weird shit.
I just want a job where I just sit in a room and drive cameras.
No,
you could do that. There may be a job for you at some campus.
I have an opening for you.
I think if somebody who is curious about working in AV and higher ed, I think there's a lot of opportunity. Buyer beware to the organization in which you kind of go and explore.
Yes,
and widely different.
Yeah, that's a good point, because as somebody who's worked at 5 different institutions, they are all structured slightly differently, and they all have a different approach to it.
Think of clever things you can ask if you're going through an interview process of that. Really, ask about how they're operating and ask about how they're structured and how
who's responsible for what, who does what,
and do those things. And if at any point, are you doing this or that? Whatever. Ask them how the position's funded. Well, that depends. Maybe somebody wants to just do more PM and just client integrators and stuff.
There's a lot of people out there who enjoy doing absolutely nothing. My integrator does it for me. I'm like,
that sounds nice right now, actually.
Give me a call, Justin. Yeah. I'll farm it out. You're gonna call me, and I'm gonna forward it back to you and have just gonna
farm it to Rexing Consulting.
Man.
But I'll add 10% on top. And I'll give you 3% of that 10%, Justin.
That sounds amazing.
Kickback 4% of that 3%.
Let's do it.
That'd be great.
All right.
Sign me up.
So you're gonna somehow work yourself to death and got a check for $72. You're like, what the hell?
I'm an email pusher at that point. Yeah. Just push emails around.
Data worker.
Oh, you're a project manager.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
That's a different show.
That's a different show.
Let's take a quick break, come back, and we'll rant about something real quick and then roll out because we are running long. So,
a rant?
Okay. Yeah.
Not a rant. I'm going to complain. But, okay. All right. But first, we'll hear Jamie tell us that people should write in.
As many of you know, the Super Friends have always been better received when we have more input from you. So, here's your chance. Send us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and get involved with the show. We're looking for some topics to discuss, some fellow nerds to talk to, or just general AV awesomeness to brag about. But remember, we'll probably steal your ideas. And I suppose we'd take some criticism, but that wouldn't be very nice. Anyway, drop us a note at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com and find out how quickly we ask you to join this nonsense.
One of these days, I'm going to remember to normalize that MP3.
I always just make it louder.
Every time I hear it. I know, you have to expand it every time. I keep hearing it. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to go in and fix it.
Don't worry about it. We get a team of people.
I'm going to compress it, expand it. Yeah. I'm going to put a
two people that's
high pass and low pass filter on it.
Commercial. That's
and then normalize the whole thing, and then we'll just limit the crap out of it.
Yeah, then I run it up all the way max and then hit it with a compressor. And then
compress it 12-1. It'll be great.
Secret sauce.
All right. So last topic here, just real quick. Just something it caught my eye.
This got in your craw. You were a little pissed about this.
What are we about to talk about?
All right, here comes Justin.
What the hell?
I saw an announcement this week, and I'm going to keep this as anonymous as possible to not call out the company or the schools.
I'm just curious how you're doing about this, but okay.
Oh,
yeah.
It's this thing. Okay.
This thing. So I saw just a little announcement or something today or this week about, hey, here's this big university that has several hundred of these dedicated capture, recording, streaming boxes in every one of their spaces, and how happy they are with them, which is great.
They have several hundred, one of which in each of their spaces. They don't have several hundred in each of their spaces.
Well, maybe they do. I don't know. But
sure,
Jesus
right.
Christ.
In each of their spaces, they have one of these, which is a total amount of several hundred. 300, 400, 500 of these dedicated capture, recording, streaming boxes. And they're talking about how they love the workflow and they love the software and all this. And I'm not going to identify the school because we all know there are many schools that have this. This confuses me because to me, this seems like a step backwards. Why do we need a dedicated hardware thingamajigger capture, stream, recordo, boxo in every frickin' room? I understand, yes, I've got an event space, or we have a portable one we take around, or we've got one over in the conference center, or some of our big auditoriums maybe because they naturally host events. Am I the only one who just sees these and wonders who is buying all of these? And I will also give the caveat that when I got to Wyoming, we had, I think, 35 that were still installed that I was paying $4,000 a year for, and I cut that off immediately.
Whoa.
Because why? Why am I spending?
Who's installing them? Because you asked who's installing them, but we have them in articles. You know who's doing.
We know who's there.
Yes, we know who it is.
In the more, I guess, rhetorical sense.
Are more.
Oh.
If I want to capture, if I want to stream, if I want to do that, can't I do that from the installed frickin' computer that's in every classroom like God intended, as opposed to those weird BYOD schools? At which point,
but what if you don't deal with the computers? Maybe they're hand strapped.
Because I had this discussion with the salespeople from Epiphan and some of the others, and they said, well, why don't you use the appliance? That's like, because some of the appliances fit perfect needs, but I've got like 4. Like, that's it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's all
I have a handful
need.
of these. They're fine.
I said, we use the software and we run it through there. And they go, well, you could do that with ours and it's better. Whatever the sales pitch was. And I said, look, it's another point of administration. I have to be able to administer this. Not all of our classes are run through the same calendaring system to be automatically recorded and automatically uploaded to their LMS system. So somebody has to log in, or somebody has to make the link, or somebody has to copy and paste, or somebody has to, and they go, well, don't you have somebody that does all that? No. I have better things for my people to do than to keep administration logins for these devices.
Now, I will say, if I was a person that worked in one college,
you are a person. You work for one college
and one building,
works for one university.
I might put one of these in every classroom because it's one building that I was over. But to think of all of our spaces with one of these, that sounds like a nightmare.
It seems luxurious in some weird way. Like, I don't.
It seems like ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Because to Jamie's point, you have to build out your system to make it more complex.
Yes.
If this thing's going to solve problems, but I have to make my system bigger to have that thing. And the computer that's in the room, or the laptop, the computer or laptop from which the content originates anyway, can already do this with the software. Mm-hmm. I just don't understand this.
No, it felt like we had gotten out of this era of things.
Yeah,
like I said, we woke up and all of a sudden it came and we were right back in the middle of it again. I was like, wow,
are we moving
it was
backwards?
Surprising. I don't know.
Well, yeah,
I don't know.
We are.
I think that some people. I think this is organizational. It's totally organizational in how they view it. Some people like the appliance because it's like a
dedicated thing.
It's a dedicated thing, and there's plausible deniability, and we're not the computer people. We can't do our things. And it's like you get into this tit for tat organizational structure.
We don't have access to the computers and administration, so we can't support it, and blah, blah, blah.
So it's a domain thing, right? It's an AV like spigot domain more than it is actual service delivery. And so it seems like it's a choice that falls well, I'm not going to fight that, so I'm just going to buy this box and my problem's solved.
I that
for
I agree.
$5,000 a year.
That I agree
Or
with
whatever they are
too,
these
because similar to the why do we have island networks? Because
Yeah.
maybe you don't have those relationships with
worth
your
it.
networking people. Why
not
do we
worth
have
it.
these devices everywhere? Because we don't have that relationship with the
I can't
computer.
fight that war, right?
Yeah, my computers, I put them in the desk, but anything that's inside the box, it's managed by somebody else, and I have to go
me,
through them to get this stuff going. And they're like, but to their side, they're like, look, we don't want another virtual server. We don't want another back-end Outlook device. We don't want all this crap. So we'll happily put on the software. Get after it, boys.
This is
And-
easier than our other option, right? It's all about weighing options and consequences
Let's
and
get
benefits.
the best, worst decision we can have.
And if you're a rich college and got the money laying around and it solves a problem for you, I could understand why someone would do this, but that would never happen on my campus.
And I'm not saying these are bad boxes at all.
No.
They
I-
are
yeah,
great
that-
for when the spaces we use them. They work
Yes.
amazing. But I don't look at them as like the ubiquitous lecture capture thing that I'm going to put in every classroom. They're just not.
They
We've
are
we've
not part of
pivoted
the
away from
template.
that model.
Yeah, like I said, I have 6 of these that are used in certain spaces that are event centric or in portable systems to go set up in event space.
These things
Because
are the
when-
better one button studio. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the one button studio. Jesus, I want to talk about that one at some point. Knock that.
That's how
shit
I use
off.
them. I use them in those types of environments.
But yes,
Yes,
you're exactly
that's
right. In that
perfect.
sort of environment, I'm going to put one of this in a little room. 2 people can go in here and they can record their thing. They push the button, away it goes, and they get a MPEG file on their USB stick, and off they go. That makes sense to me. Putting one in every single classroom, I don't know. I would like to see the Venn diagram of people who, by default, this is a default part of their kit. I want that circle. I want the circle of people who also the default part of the kit includes an all-in-wonder in 2024, and I'm willing to bet that is
all that overlap.
I'm willing to bet
I
that's one
feel like-
tight circle.
Are you talking about Teams Room, Chris? I'm pretty sure you just rattled off Teams Room. Is what
geez.
you
And then
just
people who are building Teams rooms, that's also part of that. So it's just one tight
said.
circle.
That's
There's no
Marc invented
overlap.
Teams Room.
You're in the circle.
Yeah.
Oh, I own the circle, Justin.
So
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
Administer
this
that circle.
just caught my eye. There was a big write up in those, on these emails. Jamie, you describe them as the emails that you don't even read anymore. You just delete them as they come through. There's so many of them out there from all the AV publications, and this was making a big deal about. We have hundreds of these things and they're fantastic, and they may be. That's great.
We bought
but-
300. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Some
it
rep
just-
out there is like, oh my God, I can't believe I just got a new yacht.
Like, oh, that was a
Look
nice
at my
little paycheck.
Cybertruck.
Exactly. That was all the Cybertrucks I saw on the drive down to California.
Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up, but there we go.
Well,
And I'm sure all the angry emails you can
yeah,
yell
Chris,
at your
you've
car
made a lot of
stereo.
friends
and
on this show. I will tell you that. I think you were definitely spicy tonight.
I will. I speak honestly, and the biggest jerk in AV. So
Wait, that's an award?
We can get that. Yeah, we can
Probably.
have that
Should
printed.
be.
Home of
Somebody
the
needs to
biggest
make
jerk.
it. Somebody
speaking
needs to
of
make
burning
Chris that
bridges, it's probably
trophy.
better than the award I was given that I didn't know about. So yeah.
You ever received that yet?
No, I have not received my award yet.
Did you
sitting
ask
on
for
the,
it?
Sitting at
No.
the table at the front.
Also
of the
haven't
Give them
asked
your
for it.
shipping address?
They know where I am.
They know where I'm at.
I don't know where you are.
They know where to find me.
Wyoming's a big place.
You got a problem with me? You come find me.
You mail it to University of Wyoming, Chris. I guarantee it finds me.
There's somebody named Chris.
Just some dude. Hey, you got an award. Woo!
He's wearing it as a belt buckle.
I'm the number one asshole now.
Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV Super Friends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.
In the world of AV, there's a dude we all know. He's a big old jerk, but his skills still to show. With a cynical heart, but a mind sharp and strong. He'll tell you straight up, you're doing it wrong. He's the AV jerk, no room for mistakes. Brutally honest, he's got what it takes. You're